AFC Wildcard Playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now officially heading into playoff territory. You should be scared. You should be nervous. You should be worried because it's about to get real. Quick shout out to the Wrench Gang. Quick shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers as we prepare to get into these predictions. Also, if you end up watching this later, make sure that you drop your predictions below as we get into these AFC teams. Now, let's get into it. Shout out to you, Ryan. What up, man? What's going on with you, bro? Garden Boss in the house. Creeper 700 in the building. Father Time, what up, man? What's going on with you? 68K the right way, the mid-gym. You already know. All right. So, you guys know how we normally do the predictions. You break everything down. But I do think this is going to be a little different, right? This is going to be a little different as far as what we expect out of these teams, especially coming into the Browns versus the Texans. That's where we're going to start. We're going to get into these Browns versus the Texans. This game is going to be on Saturday at 4:30 p.m. The game will be on NBC. Browns will be going against the Texans. Texans will be at home. This is probably going to be one of the biggest tests that Joe Flacco has seen to date. Obviously, if we get into the last five that the Browns have played, they took a loss to the Bengals 31-14. They won against the Jets 37-20. Won against the Texans 36-22. Beat the Bears 20-17, and then beat the Jaguars 31-27. On the flip side, obviously, your Texans 23-19 win against the Colts, 26-3 win against the Titans. Lost to the Browns at 36-22. They beat the Titans in overtime 19-16, and then lost to the Jets 30-6. Now we know that the Texans had their situation as far as with CJ Stroud being out, and it definitely showed that he was a factor as far as in the last couple of weeks with him being able to step up, and get this team to the playoffs. Now, the real question coming into this game is whether or not Joe Flacco is going to be able to deal with this fired up and young defense heading into an AFC wildcard game. We've not only came to respect Joe Flacco, but we came to really like the Cinderella story that he's provided by coming in off the couch, per se, and leading this Browns team to, in a new direction that they haven't really seen before. The real question has been whether or not, Deshaun Watson, could he be this individual? Would he have led this Browns team to a playoffs? It's possible. It's possible. But right now we don't look at it that way. We look at it like this. Joe Flacco has led this team to an AFC playoff appearance, and he's been doing a hell of a job. Now, on the flip side, CJ Stroud, who I think is undoubtedly going to be Rookie of the Year, he's had an exceptional year as well. We get into these stats. CJ Stroud, he's 319 of 499, 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. On the flip side, Flacco with 1,616 yards. He's 123 of 204, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Now, you could say, well, Jay, Flacco came in late, so obviously you're going to have the disparity there with these stats. But the big thing that I look at is the touchdown to interception ratio. CJ Stroud is playing very, very efficient. His ability to read defenses, make the necessary adjustments that he needs to, not making many mistakes as far as when he throws the ball. And the kid's got a good arm. He's got a good arm, and he's mobile. All those things are going to be a nightmare for the Browns defense heading into this game. Now, obviously, we get into the rushing side of things. You got Ford with the Browns with 813 yards, 4 touchdowns. Then you got Singletary, my man Singletary. I miss him with the Bills. I really do. People be like, we didn't need him. I still miss the man. I miss the man, that Zach Moss and Singletary combination. He's got 898 yards, 4 touchdowns as well. So they're right there as far as with the running game. But on the flip side with the receivers, you got Cooper with 1,250 yards, 5 touchdowns. And then Collins with 1,297 yards, 8 touchdowns. So right there, both these teams are neck and neck as far as, offensive production, as far as from the receivers and running standpoint. Now, as far as the injury report, we're probably going to look at that the day before because it's all going to change right now. Everybody's questionable, either on IR. So we'll have to come back to that. But when we get into the spread, you're looking at the Browns favored by 2, even though they're on the road. The over-under is going to be 44.5. Plus 115 is going to be your money line. Minus 135 for the Browns. Now, what do I take away from this? I think the biggest thing here is you're going to have a young rookie quarterback in his first NFL playoff game. You're probably going to see some jitters. You're probably going to see, some nervousness out there. And on the flip side, you've got Joe Flacco, who has, Super Bowl under his belt, MVP, multiple playoff appearances. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to come down into it in this game is going to be the talent versus the heart. Not to say that, Flacco doesn't have the talent, but that's exactly what it's going to be. Can, CJ Stroud's talent overcome Joe Flacco's heart and his ability to go out there and win, especially with so much that's on the line? Within this game, I do think it's going to be a close one. It's not going to be a landslide game that we, would expect to see maybe out of the Browns, considering what they have to work with defensively. I do think that Stroud's going to put up a strong fight, especially being at home. I like what Houston Texans have been doing, but I also like the Browns. You guys know that. I had the Browns going in a deep run, but I didn't expect Stroud to be in the situation that he's in with so much on the line. I am going to go ahead and give the benefit of the doubt to experience, though, because I think when you get into these kind of situations as far as in the playoffs, and especially against a team like the Texans and a young quarterback, there's so many variables, right? Are we going to see CJ Stroud rise to the occasion and be able to really, really play on the pressure moments, right? That's what it's going to be, because Flacco is going to know how to do that. He's going to know how to, maneuver through that pressure, bring out the best of his team, and actually go out there and ball. And I'm not saying that, Stroud can't do it, but we know that Flacco has it in him and it's tried and true and tested. With that said, I am going to go ahead and pick the Browns for this one. I'm going to take the Browns by a touchdown, beating out the Texans in a close one. It's going to be a dogfight for sure. But yeah, I'm thinking that the Browns are going to take those out, and I'm going to lead with them by 7. The Miz says, no, Jay, Houston wins. Hey, we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see. Bob says Browns. Okay. 5 times says, I used to like you, Jay. Garden Boss says, Flock's got nothing to lose. Bob says, Stroud airs it out. No, he does, man. He does. Without a doubt, Stroud is playing probably way better than I think anybody would have, expected him. If you guys remember, I did the video in regards to, is CJ Stroud a bust? Remember, he had that slow start. And I basically said in the video that I don't think he's a bust. I said I think that we need to give him more time to develop. And as we've seen him develop and turn into the quarterback that he has, if he's going to go out there and be great in this game and actually make a deep run in the playoffs, he's going to actually have to be that leader. He's going to have to actually be the quarterback that can go out there and rally the troops and make his team better, right? Because that's what makes a quarterback the leader that everyone can look up to. Can you step out on that field in one of the most important games of your life at this point and rally the troops, get your team together, and your coach, he has to coach a hell of a game, because guess what? On the flip side, that Browns team is ready. They're ready to do damage. And the Texans, I feel like I said, they are in this weird space to where they could prove everybody wrong, and that's where they are. That's why they're the underdogs at home. It's going to be the experience. It's going to be the talent that will probably make it a game. But I'm thinking that good old reliable, right? That good old reliable is what is going to be the X factor as far as the Browns, and that's what may lead them to the victory. So there you go. I'm taking the Browns against Texans by 7. Garden says pressure makes diamonds. That's true. Shout out to Shantae, says, loved your interview with Noah. Yeah, so Shantae, check this out. I'll let you guys know. It's a little secret. That was actually my first interview. And it's really funny because there have been other people that I had reached out to and, had talked to and things like that, like big people, like big people. And, something always happened. Either they had some stuff come up or, they weren't really serious about it or, maybe they just wasn't feeling it. Whatever. It was what it was. And it was just really wild because, um, the Noah situation that happened like 5 days ago. And, I went and looked at his actual like history. I looked at the family history. I looked at his stats, his highlights, and everything. And I said, you know what? This kid actually is like someone I want to talk to, because for me it wasn't just about the name, even though he went viral for it. It wasn't just about the name. Once I actually seen what he was able to do on the field, and that's what made me actually wanted to do the interview even more, because I wanted to learn more about him specifically as a person. And now I'm actually rooting for the kid, and I hope that he has a great career, and I'm definitely going to be watching him. So without a doubt, it was great. It was great. Says, is Buffalo expecting heavy snow? No, it's just like really, really cold. It's really cold. Ryan says Bills game will be played in Cleveland, I'm hearing. No, they're playing at home. Playing at home. So yeah, on the first one, guys and ladies and gentlemen, I've got the Browns. I'm going to take them by 7. And then next up, we'll go ahead and get into your Dolphins and the Chiefs after I answer some of these questions and chop it up with you guys. Jacob says, Jay, without TJ Watt, our defense might be terrible. Well, one thing that, we'll get into it later. We're going to do the Chiefs and the Dolphins first, but one thing that you don't have to worry about with, the Steelers is to be affected by the cold, right? They're used to playing in the cold. They're a Lake Erie team, just like, the Lions. So you can play in the cold, regular weather, hot weather, whatever, it doesn't matter. The big thing about, I think, the Steelers defense is they're not just a one-trick pony. There's multiple people that can make plays. So, yeah, you do, hurt a little bit by losing TJ Watt, but it's not going to absolutely kill you considering what they have there. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into these Dolphins and Kansas City, the Chiefs, Dolphins and Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen. This game will be played on Saturday night. This is going to be at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. So 8 p.m. Saturday night, you're going to have the odds is Chiefs by 5. Over under is going to be 43.5. Dolphins are plus 190 on the money line, and Chiefs are minus 225 on. Babe. What you doing? I could definitely hear the thing. All right. No problem. All right. So yeah, as far as like the odds are minus 225 for the Chiefs and plus 190 for the Dolphins. As far as your matchup predictor is 47.4% and then 52.6% for the Chiefs holding it down. Now, we get into the conversation as far as, Tua Tagovailoa and what he's been able to do on the field. And I think this is really interesting because if you match his stats up next to Patrick Mahomes, he has 4,624 yards, 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. That's on 388 attempts on 560 completions. Now, Patrick Mahomes, 401 attempts on 597 completions, 4,183 yards, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. So now here's the real question. And I was looking at this and I was basically thinking like, okay, if you take away Tyreek Hill from Tua, what happens? What happens to him as a quarterback? And then obviously if you put him back with Mahomes, you probably have Mahomes right around 52, 5,300. I have to add it up, but around 5,300 yards, the extra touchdowns, and staying right about there as far as with the picks. It's absolutely crazy to look at, the level of not only talent, but the production that Tyreek Hill brings to any quarterback that can actually utilize him appropriately. Now, if you take away, the Tyreek Hill from Tua, what does that mean as far as, who he's throwing to and his offensive production? It definitely hurts, right? Because you don't have someone that can play off the ball so fast. You don't have someone that's going to be able to catch the ball and run for another 10, 15 yards simply because of their speed. It's just not going to happen. And that's not to discredit, people like Wilson or Mostert and Waddle and all them. But, the reality is no one's playing at a level like Tyreek Hill is. So when you look at that, it really, really starts to show as far as if you lose Hill, you can almost expect Tua to have probably a really rough night. Now, the big thing getting into this game is whether or not you're going to have the weather as a factor, right? Everyone's talking about, McDaniels wearing the shirt saying that, hey, I wish it was colder. Well, guess what? You got what you wanted because it's going to be 1 degree. It's going to be 1 degree down in Kansas City. And with the wind chill, it's probably going to be right around negative 15, negative 20, somewhere right around there. And it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to be very uncomfortable, especially if we've been used to that sun and the hot weather. Now, another big thing, too, is that some of the fans were bringing up was the fact that, oh, it's going to be dangerous and we should move the game and all this other stuff. And listen, we got to talk about that because how many times have players sat and roasted in that Dolphins stadium while you guys were sitting in the cool shade, relaxing with a nice Long Island iced tea in your hand and laughing at the other opposing team because they're out there cooking. They got to get fans going. They're sitting over there pouring water over their head because they're so hot. You're not worried about the safety then? So you're going to have to go to Kansas City and deal with that cold and deal with that 1 degree, my friend. You're going to have to deal with that 1 degree. All right. Now, getting into the last 5 for the Dolphins. Obviously, they lost to the Bills 21-14. Lost to the Ravens 56-19. Won against Dallas 22-20. Won against the Jets 30-0 and lost to the Titans 28-7. On the flip side, you've got the Chiefs 13-12. They took a win there against the Chargers. They won against the Bengals 25-17. Lost to the Raiders 20-14. Beat New England 27-17, and then lost to the Bills, obviously 20-17. So, do I think, with the weather being a factor and all this, that, and the third, is that going to be a big thing as far as, for the Dolphins to lose? No, they're a professional team. Some of these players, they played in cold weather. They came over, everything like that. I do see maybe, Tua being a little cold out there, but he's a professional. Dress warm, get bundled up, and go out there, move around, get that blood flowing, and you'll be fine. I do think they're going to utilize the run game a lot more because when you throw a ball in that kind of weather, it turns into a rock, right? And sure, these guys should be prepared for it and ready to catch that ball, but the reality is this. When, you're throwing a rocket and you're expecting your wide receiver to catch that ball and it's like it's icy out there or it's freezing cold, that ball becomes really, really difficult to catch. So you don't want to, put yourself in a situation where you're throwing picks or the ball gets bobbled a lot because it will be if you try to go with a more passing approach. So I do think that the Dolphins are going to go more with the run. And we have seen, Kansas City have some issues with the run game. Hopefully they can make the necessary adjustments that they need to. But on the flip side, you're going to see Patrick Mahomes having the same kind of issues because, the wide receivers that he has, they've already been dropping the ball in moderate and warm weather. So you're probably definitely going to see a run approach by both teams in this cold weather. Whether or not, who's going to do it better, I would think that the Dolphins do have that in their favor. But, hey, Patrick Mahomes at home in Arrowhead, Andy Reid coaching, I do think they may figure this one out and send the Miami Dolphins packing. So I am going to take them by 3. I'm going to take the Chiefs by 3 at home, and they'll head on to the divisional round. Michael J. Karen, what up, man? What's going on with you? Joe Black says they said Miami practice with the temperatures turned down to 50. You think that will prepare them? Yo, listen. 50, no. Okay, so for the people who either lived up north, if they've been up north for a while, when you have 1 degree weather, you know that it's really not 1 degree. All right, 5 degree, 10 degree, it's really not that, that temperature. Because when you step outside and that wind smacks you in the face, you realize it's a lot colder than that, right? If you have no wind, it's okay. You could probably deal with it, right? Just dress warm, all that kind of stuff. But when you deal with that wind, and it's a decent wind, like we'll say like 5, 10, maybe more. Any more than that, you start getting hit with like 15-mile-per-hour wind, 20-mile-per-hour wind, and that wind's cutting through your face and you can't breathe out there in that field. That changes everything. And if it is like that, the Dolphins are definitely going to have a tough time because they're not ready for that. They're not ready for that. Training in 50-degree weather, that's not going to get you acclimated to that kind of weather at all. So if anything, what the team should have did is had them fly out there early, find a test facility that had like an indoor and outdoor situation, and let these guys practice out there so they could get ready for it within a few days time or something like that. Because there's really no getting ready or getting used to for this. You have to dress properly and just go out there and play your best because there's no getting used to that kind of weather, to be honest. So there you go. There you go. So yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs by 3 at home, and I think they'll head on to the divisionals. All right. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least for our AFC Wildcard matchup, it's going to be the Steelers and my Bills Mafia. Now, these are two teams who don't worry about the cold. These are two teams who don't care about the cold. They're fine. We're playing in snow. We could play in 3 feet of snow. It doesn't matter. We don't care how cold it is. We're going to be out there ready to ball. With that said, the biggest issue for me with the Steelers right now is the quarterback problem. They don't have a viable quarterback that I think is going to be able to make it through these playoffs. And you could say that Mason Rudolph is the guy to get the job done because, he's been doing fairly well. But the biggest thing for the Steelers has been that defense. The defense has been saving the Steelers almost all season. And you could kind of say that the quarterbacks for the Steelers that have been in this game have been game managers. And on the flip side, we know that the Bills have had their issues, right? Firing of Ken Dorsey, Joe Brady coming in, taking things over, giving Josh Allen kind of like the reins, letting them ball out, and, making some necessary, choices and adjustments when he needed to. And then Sean McDermott basically rallying the troops as far as his defense. But we've seen the Bills have their struggles too, right? The biggest game that I had trouble even remotely wanting to call was the Patriots game. And what happened? They came out with a slow start. They had to bounce back. And then the same thing with Miami, right? Slow start, gritty game, and then obviously come out with the win in the end. But this is a game where you would expect the Bills to come out there, ball out, and get a significant lead. The spread is 10. Bills by 10 at home. The over-under is 35.5, so they're expecting a low-scoring game. The money line is plus 380 for the Steelers, and then minus 500 for the Bills. The reality is this: we're probably going to see a lot more running in this game, just like with Miami and Kansas City. But because I think Josh doesn't want to risk obviously throwing the picks. We know that's been the biggest issue. Josh Allen throwing a pick. He's going to throw another one. He's going to throw another one. And you know what? I get it. I get why you guys always talk about Josh Allen throwing picks because he does do it. But the reality is this: nobody cares about the picks if you win the game. People care about the picks when you lose. So if you go out there and you throw for 3-4, touchdowns, you throw 2 picks, you won the game. Nobody cares. Nobody worries about it. Nobody cares. As my co-host has came through. Nobody cares about that. Now, obviously, if you go out there and you throw for 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions, then yes, you deserve to be roasted, especially if you lost the game. And at the end of the day, we know that this man throws a rocket. He's a gunslinger. That's the That's the nickname. And we've come to understand, what Josh Allen can do as far as throwing the ball. He's going to throw it up. He's going to throw it up 3 or 4 times to basically see if he can find somebody on the deep route and get that big play and do it multiple times. And obviously, if there's multiple people down there in coverage, it's most likely going to get picked off. That's the reality of it. Now, what I expect to see in this game, like I said, I expect to see more running. I expect to see more short passes. The issue with as far as Gabe Davis being out, I think that should be rectified. Maybe not in this game, but hopefully by the next if the Bills win it. And you guys know Bills Mafia, but realistically in this game, I think it is going to be a close one. I don't think it's going to be, Bills by 10 as I'd want it to be, obviously, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I think the defense is going to show up on both sides. Vegas is saying a low-scoring game, but hey, once again, you guys know how it gets. This could be just an absolute shootout, and we see 50, 60 points on the board, and it turns into some weird situation where the Bills win by 14, and, we're sitting there enjoying a roller coaster ride. But I'm going to go with the latter. I'm going to go with a low-scoring game. It's going to be cold, and it's going to be more of a probably running fest for sure. But I'm going to take my Bills by 7. By 7 at home. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's going to be your AFC Wildcard Playoff predictions. And now we'll get into the comments, and I'll chop it up with you guys for a little bit. Let's go. Revan says, what I like about Josh is he is not rattled by a pick. Yeah, and that's one of the big things as far as what we see as far as, Allen, what we see as far as, Herbert, what you see as far as even let's say even a newer quarterback like Stroud, right? Stroud's even got to the point now where he doesn't get rattled, if he makes a mistake out there. And that comes with not only repetition, but understanding that, hey, okay, I know that I made a mistake, but I'm going to make up for it in the next one. Or I know I made a mistake, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to complete my next drive and play better and make better decisions. And that's all it comes down with, right? And that's even in life. Are you going to let a mistake ruin your entire life, or are you going to bounce back from it and learn from it? Because that's what a mistake is. A mistake is a lesson learned, and you can go out there and make the same mistake, or you can learn from it and make adjustments so you don't make it again. Now, there are other factors that come into as far as picks and interceptions, right? The ball can get batted. It can be bobbled. Someone can, pick it off from that. But we talk more so about throwing the ball deep and it just gets picked off. Or nobody's over there. You decide to throw the ball in triple coverage and it obviously gets picked off. Those are the mistakes that, are directly affected and should be directly scrutinized in regards to that quarterback who does it. But those are the kind of plays that makes you question, like, well, what the hell are you doing? What's going on? Why would you do that, right? You're a veteran now. You're better than that. And at the end of the day, those are the kind of situations that is going to be something that Allen wants to work on, especially you get through this, you head to the divisionals, you head to the championship, you get to the Super Bowl. You don't want to make those mistakes at all. You want to have your big plays, but you only want to throw that ball if you know that it's going to be caught and it's not going to be picked off. Because that one play could be the momentum swinger. That one play could be the meaning of a team scoring and going up as far as the score, and having you in a spot where the team starts to trail, and now you got to backpedal and get yourself out of trouble. So hopefully, Allen can figure that out moving forward, not make as many mistakes, and just play smart football, right? Play smart football, because that's all that it boils down to. If you know that you can't fit that ball in double coverage, or if you know that you're throwing a ball 50 yards and the safety, it hasn't shifted, and your Stephon Diggs is on man and he's closely targeted, you might not want to throw that ball. But if you see, Dalton Kincaid and he's got good space and the safeties went left instead of right, then you throw that ball. But you just make sure that you throw it ahead of him and give him, the benefit of the doubt that he may need an extra step or two. You don't overthrow it or underthrow it. That all comes from, the ability of being a veteran quarterback and having a strong arm. Hopefully we see it in this game. He makes good decisions. Sean McDermott coaches up this defense. make sure that he has the right personnel in there to get the job done efficiently and effectively. That defensive line brings the pain and brings the pressure on Rudolph, makes him very uncomfortable. And there you go. There you go. I think Bills take it by 7 against the Steelers. And there it is. There it is, man. Shout out to Alvin. What up, man? What's going on with you? Alvin. My bad, Alvin. How you been, bro? I ain't seen you in a minute. How's the family? How's everybody going? How's everybody doing? Says Alan raises my high blood pressure already. That is a fact. That is a fact. I can't tell you guys how many games I've streamed where you guys don't see it, right? Obviously, I'm showing some kind of energy and entertainment value and all that kind of stuff. But you guys don't see the blood pressure boiling when I'm streaming these games, right? I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm trying to do all these things, I'm engaging with the chat, I'm commentating, I'm calling the plays. But then something happens, and it's like the blood pressure goes from like here to here. And then if it keeps going, it's like here to here. While me trying to stay composed during the whole time and effectively do what I do. Without a doubt. Eric says, drink Jack, you'll be fine. Alvin, what up, man? What's going on with you? Michael says TJ is out at least 5 weeks. I mean, obviously I'm not a fortune teller, but you know, we've been pretty good as far as with these predictions over the years, especially getting into the playoffs where things become a little bit clearer. But I'll tell you this. I think the reality is this is 1 year where it's really strange. It's really strange. It's not going to be like, oh, yeah, we know this team's going to win, because teams have been surprising. Teams have been playing at a way better level than what we've seen over the years. And I think everybody's out for blood. I think everybody's out for blood this year, especially with the teams that we have left in the AFC playoffs and the NFC playoffs as well. It, to me, is anybody's game moving forward. And we could see two complete teams that nobody thought would really go and some off-the-wall combination. That's just the reality of it. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Alpha says nothing more dangerous than the Steelers team that has no pressure and nothing to lose. I wouldn't say no pressure. I mean, it's the playoffs, man. You know, the playoffs not only brings out the pressure, but it brings out the best of you as well. Because you do want to move forward. You do want to, you know, get to a championship. Obviously, you want to get to the Super Bowl. That's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate prize. Nobody plays just to get to the playoffs. Nobody plays just to get to the championship. But the fact is, the Steelers probably have, have the most competition as far as, you know, outside of the Texans, right? To me, it would probably go Steelers, Texans, Browns, Dolphins, Chiefs, Bills, and then Ravens. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at that list, it's like, okay, we see where the Steelers are in regards to, you know, the AFC. The pressure is all on them. The Bills know they have the talent. The Bills know, you know, what to do. They've been there before. The real question is, can Mason actually pull this off? Because I don't think he's been in this situation with this much pressure, and it is going to be a lot for him. You're coming into Buffalo. You're a backup quarterback, and you know you've relied on your defense to really win. So can you go out in Highmark Stadium and go out there and win a game in Orchard Park against a strong defense? Pressure's on you, man. Without a doubt. Sal says, have to watch the game in the basement. Kids and grandkids can't hear me. Shout out to you, Sal. Let's go. Alan says, I've been peeping the Bills Mafia and how resilient this squad has been. That's a fact. That is a fact. Michael says, do you think the Packers-Cowboys game is a trap game for the boys? I don't think it's going to be an easy W for Dallas. So tomorrow, I'm going to do the NFC playoffs just like how we did the AFC, and we'll chop it up as far as for them as well. So we'll do the same kind of process that we did today for the AFC, for the NFC tomorrow. But just to give you a quick preview, I do think this is probably going to be one of the most important games, not just because it's the playoffs, but it's really going to tell us whether or not Dak Prescott is who we think he can be. because Jordan Love right now is looking absolutely amazing. That offense that he has is clicking, it's working well. They've got great chemistry, and their defense has been balling out as well. I mean, granted, it was kind of shaky and everything, but they've got a lot to fight for. And we've seen the issues that, Dak has had and the defense, just kind of like falling asleep and allowing things to slip through the cracks. It could get very real very fast in that game, and everybody's sitting there holding the edge of their seats like, what the hell's going on? So, yeah, we'll get into that tomorrow. We'll get into that tomorrow. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen, your AFC Wildcard Playoff predictions. I will see you guys tomorrow for the NFC version. Make sure you guys, of course, hit that like, that thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, click that bell, turn on your notifications, and I will see you all tomorrow for the NFC predictions. Have yourself a great evening. Peace out.